Today I'm gonna show you exactly what to do if you're on a journey of losing fat but you're not seeing any progress. And unfortunately, this is what I see most people going wrong. They enter panic mode, or they just start a cycle of self-sabotage, or they just want to change everything at once, blaming the workout plan, blaming the diet. But to be honest, this is the worst thing you can do, right? And if you don't know me, my name is Ibrahim. I'm an online coach and I've helped more than 50 men transform physically and mentally. And this strategy I'm going to present you today is the same approach I still use with them, right? So just pay attention. You see, fat loss is not that complex. It's very simple when you have a system to follow. When you understand exactly what are the inputs you can manipulate to impact the outcome you're going after, which is your weight. This is what fat loss is about. You have to lose the weight. You want to lose the fat. Okay? So there's certain inputs that directly impact the output, the weight. And you just need to understand what are those inputs, right? And this is why I made this beautiful, I call it the fat loss algorithm, right? Because it's very easy for you to understand what to adjust if things are not going the way you want, okay? But let's start with the first thing first, okay? How you start the plan. Because yes, you have some input you can manipulate, but you also need an entry point, right? We have to start the journey with certain foundations. You want to have what I call non-negotiable habits. You want to be training certain times, like in a week, 3 to 4 is more than enough. Focusing on compound movements, tracking your lift, progressive overload. Those are the basics. You also want to be hitting a daily steps, right? This is the bare minimum, 10,000 steps every single day. You also want to start eating at maintenance calories. A mistake I see is guys jumping too much on a very big deficit, but guys, we need to start at maintenance and just set the right foundations. When your body will be in an optimal state to respond to fat loss or muscle growth, everything will be easier after if you jump in a deficit. So you want to be on a maintenance calorie at first, having a daily goal for steps. I suggest starting with 10,000 steps, 50 minutes of cardio on the days you work out. Zone 2 cardio specifically, you can do the incline treadmill, you can do the stairs. But you also want to be training 3-4 times per week, as I mentioned, and also prioritize your sleep, whole food, your hydration, right? Those are the bare minimum we need to have in place from the beginning. This shit ain't gonna work if you don't have the right foundations at first. So I insist on having them when you start your program. Let's say now you have the foundation, you're training 3 to 4 times a week, you're hitting your steps, you're tracking your diet, right? Whole foods at maintenance calorie at first, you're hitting your cardio. Now, let's see what's going on. Let's say after a few weeks, okay, you weight yourself. If the weight is going down, that's perfect. There's no problem with your plan. You just need to keep going. And I just want to emphasize on something when I'm referring to weight right there is I'm talking more about the fat, okay? You should see the fat coming down, okay? And if you're losing the weight, but at the same time, you feel worse, your energy is tanking, that's not the goal, right? You're probably going too extreme with your approach. And that's why I say again, please make sure that you have the right foundation from the beginning, because this only gonna work considering that you're doing the right things, okay? So if you're not doing the right thing at first, please stop watching this video and go reset your plan, your foundations, and then get started in a new cycle, okay? But let's say you're doing things right, you weight yourself, the weight is going down, fat is coming down, perfect, keep going, don't change anything. Don't increase the deficit, don't add more cardio, don't add more steps, right? The more, what we want at the end of the day is have flexibility with those inputs. If you start changing too much at once, and yes, you can lose the weight, but after when you're gonna hit the plateau, there is nothing else we can play with. So we need to allow for ourselves our flexibility, that flexibility. That's gonna come just from checking on yourself every single week. If it's going down, perfect, you keep going. Now, scenario number 2, the weight is the same or it's going up. And this is where most people panic, when it's going up or it's the same, right? But it's not always a bad thing. We need to understand fat loss is not a linear journey. I've seen it, it's for some people it will come down, then come up, then come down again. There's so many factors you need to consider, like water retention, the fluids in your body. If you had like very heavy workout or very heavy carb meal before sleeping, that can impact your weight. So what we want is looking at the trend over an extended period of time. So you weight yourself like weekly, and if the weight is the same or if it's increasing, don't change the plan yet. I want you to ask yourself this question. Are you noticing visual improvement with your physique? Because guess what? If the weight is going up or is the same, but you feel like you're leaner, you feel like stronger, that's a positive sign. Okay? The weight itself is not the big picture, right? We need to have like different layers. Like for example, the way you feel, the way you look. If you're noticing visual improvements with your physique, then again, keep going. Most likely, like you're holding on water, and that weight will just like come down. Or in the best case scenario, even if you're in deficit and on the phase of losing fat, it is very likely possible that you are building muscle at the same time, right? So don't panic mode and ask yourself this question. Are you noticing visual improvement with your physique? If it's yes, just keep going. Now, what happens if the weight is not coming down and you're not noticing visual improvement with your physique, right? This is where we're going on this side of the algorithm. Before you make an adjustment, right, this is the most important question you need to ask yourself before entering panic mode or self-sabotage. Have you been consistent with your inputs, right? Most people don't ask themselves this question. And what I'm referring by inputs is, did you train every single day you were supposed to train? Have you hit your steps every single day? The bare minimum. Did you sleep properly? Because guess what? If you're having 5-6 hours of sleep, like 2-3 times during the week, that's not gonna help you, right? So be consistent with your sleep. Are you hydrating properly? You getting your electrolytes in the morning? If not, how are you gonna give your body the energy it needs for you to perform at your best during the gym, right? Did you have any cheat meal that made you deviate from your diets? That's again another question you ask yourself. Like all of these, it's like non-negotiable. The reason it's called non-negotiable is like you have to hit them every single day. If you start missing some of them, like once in a while, then you cannot call yourself consistent anymore, right? That needs to be like on top of the game at least 90-95% of the time. Okay, so if you haven't been consistent with your inputs, focus on being consistent at first, right? I can guarantee you, for most of you, you don't even need to go right there. It's like that's the main problem. At least like 80% of the time, it's a consistency problem. Focus on being consistent at first, okay? But let's say you're someone like me, you respect your non-negotiables, like you track everything, you do everything single right. Yes, of course, it's gonna happen that weight is not going down, you don't see visual improvement, and you are consistent with your inputs. This is where, again, we consider adjusting the plan. So there's 3 variables we can play with, okay? I don't like changing the workout plan because that's gonna mess up with my schedule. Workout plan basically don't change, even if you wanna add muscle. There's 3 inputs we can manipulate. It's always the calories, the steps, and the cardio. Like keep it very simple. So now, I want you to ask yourself, if you've been consistent, but again, there is no improvements, now you come here and you change only one. Please don't change everything at once. Just pick one, and you can base it on your schedule. For example, if you're someone like you super tight on work, well, maybe you want to consider just dropping the calories. If you're someone you have more time for yourself, you can decide to expend more energy, right? The cardio is more in between. Let's say you don't have time for extra steps and you don't like touching your food, then you can increase your daily cardio, okay, by 5 minutes only. So calories, I personally, this is the last thing I want to touch because I don't like playing with my food. I like staying full, and I just prefer expanding more in terms of energetical output, like moving my body more, right? That's for me. But of course, I'm gonna be capped at a certain time, and I will have to play with the calories. But if you're someone, you say you're already dealing with cravings a lot, well, don't try to turn on the calorie from the beginning. Go and play with the daily movement or the cardio. But only pick one. Let's say you decide to manipulate the calories. Well, only drop them by 100 a day. Don't decrease your calorie by like 500 at once, okay? Go very slow. 100 a day, and most of them will come from carbs. You don't want to really touch like, protein and fat, because that's not gonna be supportive of muscle growth, muscle repair, and recovery, okay? So I will play like, with the carbs at first. Daily steps, if you are 10,000, well, don't try to go from 10 to 20K per day. Maybe add like, 500 a day or like 1,000 steps a day. That's very doable. You wanna go like, with very small increments. Or you can decide to play with the cardio and add like 5 minutes of cardio on the days where you work out. Remember, your baseline is like 50 minutes of cardio, okay? You do want to have like, zone 2 cardio in your program, but it's like, you had 15 minutes per day and you decide to not touch the calories or the steps, you can ramp up your cardio from 15 minutes to 20 minutes a day. And what's gonna happen next is you will have to stay consistent with those new inputs and repeat the process like every week or every 2 weeks. Now you weight yourself again. If it's down, you keep going. If it's visual improvements, keep going again. But if none of that happened, ask yourself, have you been consistent? If you're not consistent, focus on being consistent. But if you do everything right, now you can come back again and repeat the same process every single week till you shred the fat, till you get to 10% body fat. And now it's gonna prime you for the next phase, which is muscle growth. Okay? So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and keep in mind, if you want something more customized for you, link in the comment. You can apply for one-on-one mindset and fitness coaching. And thanks for watching. I see you soon.